So welcome back to another Q&A. This is from the community section of our YouTube page. So a few weeks ago we put up asking for basically more questions you wanted answered. This question comes from a Sika herd member, Tim Champion. So Tim is an incredibly talented parkour athlete. If you haven't seen his stuff, check him out on YouTube or check out his Instagram page. He's genuinely a very impressive human being. And Tim asks, at what point does it become pointless for a jumping athlete, parkour, to increase maximal squat strength? For example, will I get anything out of pushing past 2 times body weight squat with regards to jumping further or higher and absorbing impacts forces for huge drop jumps? If you were to listen to what the UKSCA, so the United Kingdom Strength and Conditioning Association, would say with regards to kind of prerequisite to jump training. So they talk about having a prerequisite back squat of at least twice body weight before you would start like tier 1 or level 1 plyometrics training. What tier 1 plyometrics training looks like is very, very simple landing mechanics. So before you would start into taking a meter broad jump and just landing quietly, so like talking about landing softly, landing quietly, landing with good knee mechanics and good ankle mechanics, before you even start that level of training, you want twice body weight with your back squat. Obviously, the UKSCA deals predominantly with kind of high level professional strength and conditioning coaches and bringing their level of knowledge up. So that would be if you were training a professional rugby team before you'd start plyometrics training, you would make sure all of your academy players or all of your players coming into that system would have a double bodyweight back squat. With regards to the opposite end of that scale, like where does the payoff stop? To be honest, there isn't good data out there on it. It's not like we have a load of athletes who have triple bodyweight squats, 3.5 times bodyweight squats, 4 times bodyweight squats who are also jumping athletes. Most of the time where the data ends is with the kind of injury prevention or injury rehabilitation stuff where they look and they say, okay, you are 20% less likely to have an ACL tear while jumping and landing if you have X amount of squat. So there's not really data there for the top end from what we can see or from what we would know. One thing I would say is, like, as with all training, drawing on certain resources to bring something up is obviously taking those resources away from something else. So when you're looking for like training specificity, so to jump higher, you want to do more jump training, you want to do higher jump training. And if you were to push so to get to a double body weight back squat probably takes a certain amount of effort. To get to 2.5 times body weight back squat takes more effort again. And to get from 2.5 to 3 would take more effort again. So it's not just this kind of linear thing. Like, it gets exponentially harder to add those percentages of body weight onto your squat every time. So at a point, you're going to stop being able to put resources into your jump training, and so then you're doing less specific training, and because you're purely just trying to push your back squat up.
I think if worrying about the number probably doesn't matter so much in practicality, so I don't think you need to really be concerned about how much you are once you've gotten to that double body weight. So Dara talked about the double body weight being probably the minimum requisite, where the UKSCA would have talked about that, but Yuri Vershansky would be like the godfather of plyometrics, and you've heard us talk about him before. I think he talked about somewhere in the rounds of like 1.5 times body weight. So I think he's pretty close or beyond double body weight at the moment. I don't think you'd get a whole lot out of beyond 2.5 times body weight if you had to put a number on it. To be honest, I don't know if you could even get beyond 2.5 times body weight naturally without years more progression. And then if you looked at it that way, I think it's kind of a non-runner. I don't think you're in the rounds where it would even matter. Even if you decided that it was better, I don't think you could physically justify getting there, like Fitz talked about. So let's say 3 times body weight was actually phenomenal for jumping ability, but how hard would it for you to get to triple body weight in terms of a back squat? It would almost certainly at that stage interfere with you getting there, interfere with your jumping training, your parkour training. Also, a lot of times people kind of forget as well that some of the most important parts of vertical jump training, plyometric training, is just doing vertical jumps and doing plyometric work. So doing that in conjunction with just having a double body weight back squat or more isn't enough. So obviously Tim is doing a lot of plyometric training as it is, so that's not a concern of his, but for other people watching, is a lot of times people forget that you need to do just plyometric practice, the skill you want to get better at.
When people go and concentrate on the number like Gerf was talking about, you know, they'll say, okay, I need to go and get a 200 kilo back squat and that will improve my jump. So say like you're a basketball player or whatever it is and you need a better vertical jump. A lot of the time what comes along with getting a heavier back squat is becoming a heavier human. And one thing that makes your jumping performance hit the ground like nothing else is just being heavier. So like you need to be very, very conscious if you're chasing a back squat number to get better at jumping or to be better able to absorb the forces associated with jumping and landing. You need to ensure that that body weight is maintaining at a certain level or that it won't go above a certain level, because that really, really will, like in the same way it will affect for the CrossFit athletes, the same way it will affect your gymnastics work, like anything hanging from a bar or rings. 5 kilos extra in body weight is crippling. It will do that and more to cripple your jump performance.
Another thing as well I think it bears thinking about is, what does it mean to have like a double bodyweight back squat? Like you won't have that all the time, you know, you never maintain peak strength all the time. So it's not a case of you hit 2.5 times bodyweight back squat and that's the gold standard for jumping, for example. That's where you get peak performance. Let's say you make that up. But you will never be in a scenario where you can do a 2.5 bodyweight back squat every single day of the year. It's just not something that happens. So it's definitely not a one-to-one relationship where it's like a transfer over immediately. So I think just getting strong enough where you feel like your jumping is progressing, and then definitely beyond 2.5. I think if you've put a gun to my head, I'd say 2.2 would be a great place. So somewhere north of 200 kilos probably. And then, you know, you can definitely start focusing back in on your jump training and just maintaining your squat at that rate. And then something else will be the driver.
The very last thing I'd say then is if you want to get a visa for Sikhistan, percentage of body weight doesn't really matter. You just need to squat over 200 kilos.
Not a lot of people in the country.
Yeah. So don't worry about the body weight too much. If you enjoyed this, please do like the video, drop a comment below. Last thing, we're going to rob your attention for 5 seconds. There's a new Sika training program out. It's very, very specifically for weightlifters who've been out at a gym for a while and are now getting back into a gym environment. So it gets you your mobility work, your cardio work to get your work capacity up, and all your kind of building up progressions. It's 4 weeks long, 4 sessions per week, and you can get that at seekerstrength.com.